You know that feeling when there's a man in the house but no father in your heart? He paid the bills, sure. He sat at the dinner table every night. But emotionally, he was a ghost in your home, a shadow you couldn't reach. And you're out here trying to build a life with no blueprint. You're trying to become the man you have never seen. Guess what? This isn't just your story. It's mine too. And honestly, it's way more common than you think. Today, we're not just talking about the silence. We're learning how to break it. Let's talk about how it looks like to show up, not just physically, but emotionally. All right, let's start here. When there's a man in the house but no father figure, it creates this weird dynamic that's honestly hard to put into words. You feel like you're supposed to know something that nobody ever taught you. It's like walking into a basketball game that's already in the fourth quarter, but nobody explained the rules. You're expected to play, but you don't even know what position you're supposed to be in. Now look, maybe he provided. The bills got paid, the food was on the table, roof over your head. But he wasn't protecting your soul. He wasn't nurturing the man you were becoming inside. And that absence, it doesn't just hurt. It confuses the hell out of you. You start thinking, wait, is this what manhood is? Showing up physically but checking out emotionally? You're searching for guidance, for someone to guide you forward. And all you're witnessing is survival mode, not wisdom, not leadership, just existing day by day. So, what do? You copy what you see. The silence when things get tough. The stress he carried around like a backpack. The way he checks out instead of showing up. But something deep inside you knows that this can't be it. This can't be all there is to being a man. Look, I'm not here to bash our fathers. Maybe your father was doing the best with what he had. But we can't act like that emotional gap didn't shape us in major ways. Because that silence, it was teaching us lessons we didn't realize we were learning. Which brings me to the real question. If he wasn't teaching us, then who was? Let's get brutally honest for a second. Where did you really learn how to be a man? Was it from TV shows where the dad was always a bumbling idiot and the mom had all the right answers? And she spoke to him as if he was a little child? Was it from rappers talking about what real men do? Or from that coach who yelled so loud you thought anger meant strength? Or from your uncle who seemed mad at the world the whole time? Be honest with me. Did he just wing it and hope for the best? Here's what I realized. Most of us got our manhood lessons from people who were faking it louder than we were. They were guessing their way through it too. But they had the confidence to make it look like they knew what the hell they were doing. Society keeps telling us, be strong. But nobody wants to define what real strength actually looks like. They say, be a leader. But they never show you how to lead yourself first. How are you supposed to guide others when you're still lost yourself? So we end up chasing images instead of building real identities. We follow what looks right instead of what feels true. We put on performances instead of developing actual character. And here's the kicker. Most of the people telling us what a real man should be never had solid masculine guidance either. It's like we're all working from a broken instruction manual. We're trying to build this whole house with half the pages missing. No wonder so many of us feel like we're just improvising our way through manhood. Let me tell you about dinner time when I was about 14, maybe 15. We'd sit around the table. My mom, my stepfather, my two sisters, my brother, and me. Food was on our plates. Silence was just filling the air. But that room, it felt dead, man. My stepfather sat there like a statue, present but disconnected. Never asked about my homework, my grades, or even how I was really doing. He followed my mom's lead, and she was a domineering woman who controlled the conversation, controlled the mood, and controlled everything. He never stood up for me or my brother when he should have. There were moments, heated moments, when my mom would go too far, and I'd look to him hoping he would step in, hoping he'd say something, but he never did. I craved his attention, not just his compliance with her rules. I wanted him to see me, to ask me real questions, to care about what was happening inside my head and my heart. One night, I got my varsity letters in track and field as a freshman. I told my mom at the dinner table, hoping for some recognition. This was after she locked me out of the house the previous Saturday afternoon after our final track meet. I was so proud. This was something I was working on all spring semester. All she said was, "You can't be coming into my house whenever you please." I try to explain that I go from home to school to practice and then back home. I wasn't a bad kid. I didn't move with the bad crowd. She didn't want to hear it though. She thought I was mouthing off. My stepfather just sat there, silent. He didn't even look up from his plate. Two different kinds of rejection. One active, one passive. That night, I stopped sharing wins. I stopped trying to connect, and I carried that silence into my manhood. It took me years to realize a real father teaches you to speak, not just obey. He teaches you how to express yourself, celebrate your victories, and learn from your failures. A real father creates space for you to be a human, not just productive. That silence was shaping me in ways I didn't understand. I was learning that my feelings didn't matter, that my achievements weren't enough, that speaking up was pointless if no one was really listening. And here's the thing. That one moment at that dinner table, it wasn't just about me and him. It started a ripple effect that still affects my life today. Here is what nobody talks about. That silence doesn't just affect your relationship with him. You have a hard time opening up in relationships because growing up, you never really saw what vulnerability looked like. You think love means just being there physically, but you have no clue how to connect emotionally with someone. Some of us become workaholics. We provide, but we never actually connect. Others go the complete opposite direction. We avoid responsibilities altogether because deep down, we're scared of turning into him. And let's keep it 100. There's that deep, buried anger a lot of us walk around with. We're mad at him for not being what we needed, but we're also mad at ourselves for still wanting his approval even though we're grown men. It's that weird mix of resentment and longing. Like we're angry at what he didn't give us, but still wishing he had. It's that emotional tug of war. We're caught between hating what was missing and still hoping for something that never came. You know what's wild though? Some of us turn into overachievers, chasing success like it might finally earn his approval. Like maybe this time he'll say he's proud. And some of us go full rebel mode. We push back on everything he stood for. We think that it means that we could be free. But here's the truth. Either way, he's still running the show. We're still making our idea of manhood about him, not about who we actually want to be. That silent sense ripples through every relationship, every decision, every moment where we're faced with the choice to open up or shut down. But the good news, once you recognize the pattern, you can start breaking it. But first, you got to see it clearly. So the question is, how do you build something new when the foundation was never set right? So what do you do when you weren't given the tools? You make your own. Start with yourself. Be the man you needed when you were growing up. Show up for yourself with patience and discipline. Healing isn't about blaming your father. It's about choosing not to pass on the silence down to the next generation. You don't have to have all the answers to be a mentor. Just be real about your journey. Share what you have learned and be honest about what you're still figuring out. Find your own mentors, books, older men who have done the work. Build brotherhood with guys committed to growing, not just surviving. Your story starts a new blueprint, one where being present means being connected, where masculinity means responsibility, not rigidity. Real strength isn't loud, it's consistent. It's showing up even when it's uncomfortable. It's being vulnerable enough to admit when you don't know something. If you become a father, remember, fatherhood starts with fathering yourself first. Now let me pull this all together and show you exactly what we have uncovered today. All right, let's bring this all together. Here's what we have unpacked today. First, we talked about that quiet gap. How you can grow up with a man in the house and still have no real father figure. That emotional absence creates this weird tension where you feel like you should know something that nobody ever actually taught you. And second, then we got real about where most of us actually learned to be men. Spoiler alert, it wasn't from healthy role models. Most of us picked up on manhood from TV, music, or people who were just faking it louder than we were. We've been following broken instruction manuals. I shared about the silent dinner tables, how craving connections but only getting commands, shaping the way I showed up in the world. How one moment of looking for approval and getting shut down can echo through decades of your life. We explored the ripple effect, how the wound doesn't stay contained. It shows up in your relationships, your work, your anger, your patterns of either overachieving or rebelling. Both responses still let him control your narrative. But here's the hope. You can build without blueprints. You can be the man you needed. You can refuse to pass on that silence. You can find mentors, create brotherhoods, and start a new model of masculinity. One based on connection, not just provision. The bottom line? That silence doesn't have to become your legacy. You get to choose what kind of man you become. And that choice, that's where your real power lies. Your father's silence doesn't have to become your legacy. You're not broken. You're not doomed. You have the power to choose your path, build your own definition of strength, and create the presence you wish you had. To every man who grew up in the shadows, it's time to step out into your own light. Keep questioning, keep growing, keep building. Come back next week for episode 2 of this series. Make sure to check out one of our other videos. Like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you have already subscribed, like and share the video. And remember, you get to choose the man you become. Free thinker, out.